generally our approaches to smoking cessation have been that, how long have you been a patient in my practice at my hospital? When are you listening to me? When are you finally going to get your ducks in a row? I'm tired of talking to you about this. Don't you understand that unless you can stop, are you listening? Unless you can stop smoking, and you should be able to do that because you otherwise seem intelligent and reasonable. Unless you can stop smoking, the next time you come back to this hospital, we're going to have to amputate your leg above the knee. Very, very helpful. And never sit in the front row, which is why or it's, you know, if you were just a better person, stronger, more insightful, and more resolute, you should be able to stop smoking. Everybody else I know to stop smoking. Why can't you? My Uncle Charlie stopped smoking, and he smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and he stopped. And it's this kind of moralistic, judgmental kind of approach to smoking cessation, which is hideously outdated and remarkably unhelpful. Fact, the overwhelming majority of your patients know why they shouldn't smoke. Fact, the majority of your patients don't want to be smokers, and a substantial proportion of them will make at least 2 personal, private quit attempts each year, 95% of which will fail. And yet our standard medical, clinical approach has always been to default to the educational option. I can give you, are you listening to me? I can give you reason number 127 as to why you should stop smoking. We suffer from the delusion that patients are going to say, oh, thank God, Dr. Peck, if only I'd known that osteopenia is now common in postmenopausal women smokers, I would have stopped smoking 20 years. That's not going to happen. Right? I call this the fridge magnet mentality. Right? We want to over-educate, we want to provide people with more and more information that ultimately will allow them to make the rational decision that they will stop smoking. They don't want to be smokers. They know why they should not be smokers. And so our challenge, and the opportunity, rather, is that we can be much more innovative, much more contemporary best practice in terms of the ways in which we do help our patients stop smoking. You know, and just as 75 years ago, when we were talking about the management of hypertension, a great emphasis would have been placed on physical activity, weight loss, sodium restriction, because maybe I've got the dates wrong, but frankly, that's all we had to offer. And so much of what's occurred in smoking cessation represents constructing new programs on the debris and including the debris of the programs that have been largely somewhat unsuccessful in the past. So if you'll forgive the analogy, it would be like we're going to address hypertension in the community, and we're only going to talk about the importance of controlling hypertension, what hypertension does to your kidneys. Don't you understand that hypertension is bad for your kidneys and your brain and may lead to dementia? And you better get out there and exercise more and eat more intelligently, without recognizing that our ability to control hypertension at the population at an individual level has been transformed in the last 50 or 75 years, and clearly pharmacotherapy plays an important role in managing hypertension. And the same is true of smoking cessation. And I'm not here to suggest to you that pharmacotherapy is the be-all and the end-all and the fundamental answer to smoking cessation, but it's a huge component of it. And we moved somewhat grudgingly from our Presbyterian approach to smoking cessation to our Presbyterian-light approach to smoking cessation when the first pharmacotherapies became available, because it was then, well, you should be able to stop smoking. All right, I'll give you some help. Just a little bit of help, and not for too long, because you should be able to do this on your own. We don't put plaster casts on ankles and say, it's been 6 weeks since you fractured your ankle and the cast was applied, the cast is coming off. Doctor, yes, it doesn't matter. The CPS says plaster cast should only be applied for 6 weeks. It's coming off. That's a silly analogy, but it's not unlike what we've typically done with pharmacotherapy for smoking cessation. We wouldn't treat hypertension by saying, we're going to start you on hydrochlorothiazide, 50 milligrams a day for 4 weeks, then we're going to drop you to 25 milligrams a day for 4 weeks, and in the final 2 weeks of your hypertension control attempt, we're going to bring you down to 12.5 milligrams of hydrochlorothiazide. Now let's stop the hydrochlorothiazide, take your blood pressure. Oh, you're still hypertensive. Well, you better go away and think more seriously about when you're going to be prepared to make another attempt at smoking cessation or hypertension control in the future. And yet that's what we've kind of done with fixed dose paradigm approaches to smoking cessation. And no academic presentation is complete without the word paradigm. So I've got that out of the way.